The two Wendy's. You both represent organizations that provide educational programs to women and girls. How can universities and other organizations promote gender equality in education in the developing world? And how does your program succeed in seeing results for women and girls?
I would love to spend a few more minutes just talking briefly about our GEP, our Girls Education Program, because how it first started out was simply by giving out scholarships so that the girls would feel as if they could pay the scholarships to stay in school for a year. And just so you know, that only costs $250 a year. I am a fundraiser, but don't let that scare you. I feel like we should lock the doors right now. But that would provide her bicycle or her bus transportation, and it would also include her uniform and her backpack. So we felt, okay, great, we're giving resources. But because we've been around for 10 years now, and Room to Read, I am not an intellectual, but Room to Read hires a lot of intellects. And so they were thinking about this for a while and said, this is fantastic, good for us. And we've got to really improve upon this. And so now we've added a life skills component to that, because just because you have a bicycle and just because you attend school doesn't mean that you're still not struggling with gender bias. So with that life skills program, now what we offer is tutoring from a female mentor. And we also have classes, not just for the girls in terms of gaining more confidence, but we also have career classes so that therefore when she finishes not only primary school and secondary school, that she's built up enough momentum that she feels secure enough that she can therefore bring it to the next level. So the latest data that we've received is in our Vietnam program, 61% of our girls are now going on to university, which to us was better than Christmas and Hanukkah. I mean, we have a yak bell in our office, so we ring the yak bell anytime something really fantastic happens, and that was a circumstance. But we know that there's so much more to do. And so then we realized we need to also speak with the parents, because just because we think it's a good idea doesn't mean that the parents necessarily understand. And of course, the parents are very concerned because these girls are very hard laborers. So sometimes they're commuting 3 hours to school and then 3 hours back, even if we do provide them a bicycle. So we told the parents, yes, we're working with the girls to make sure that not only can she finish her homework, but when she comes home, she still has time for chores. And so we started having community classes for the parents as well, so that they understood the importance of why their girls were getting educated. Because, as we've all heard today, when you educate a girl, it doesn't just stop there. It doesn't stop with the individual. It goes on to the society and the community. So when you educate a girl, you educate the next generation. And so that's what we've been trying to be very clear about. And again, this is not anybody from Room to Read San Francisco or where I'm based, New York, that's saying this. It's coming from all of these communities. And just one final thought. So because we're about gender equality, not about promoting girls to the full extent, we always like to make it very clear that we're not anti-boys. We have tons of men who are formerly boys themselves, so they always like to make this very big point. So in South Africa, it's actually written in the Constitution that they are very fully aware that both boys and girls need to be in school together. And as we're all very clear, just because you have 50-50 boys and girls in school does not mean that there's not gender bias. However, that gender parity exists, and so we're happy with that. But for the other countries in which we work, like in Cambodia, it's typically 3 boys to every 1 girl, and we're looking to make sure it's more of a 50-50 balance.
Wendy, Judy?
I think that definitely there are things that universities can do to promote gender equality. And in our area with our university, I think that we need to do a better job of reaching young women in rural areas and in the developing world and encouraging them to enroll in college and encouraging their families and communities to allow them to enroll in college. I think that as a society, we need to make it a priority to fund higher education for women. At Earth, we provide need-based scholarships to 80% of our students, so that implies a big fundraising effort on an annual basis for us also. And third, I think that we need to provide an education that empowers young women to and encourages them to return to their communities as models and leaders for their communities and for other young women. And again, I think in our case, we are being quite successful at that. Although we're an international institution and we have graduates now in 25 different countries, we can also say that 93% of our graduates are living and working in Latin America, and 87% of them are in their country of origin working now. So that's a pretty significant figure, actually.